And before we meet these kids in person, let's meet their dad on Don Messer's Jubilee. I must say it's a great joy to sit in a farm dining room outside of Ottawa, Ontario, and introduce you to four people you've just seen dance the dust out of the floorboards. And they are members of, as I've indicated earlier, of the Gilchrist family. And we'll start over here with Tony. And we were going to talk about age, but we're not going to talk about age, are we, Tony? Experience we might talk about. All right. And next to Tony is Melanie, the noisy one. And then there's Gina, who I suspect is being the ringleader of all of this. I wouldn't be surprised. Look at that face. Is that a ringleader? And next is Barry. What are your thoughts when I say Donnie Gilchrist about your dad? Could we start with you, Tony, do you think?
Sure. I think my father was a very giving person with his talent. There was never a week went by where he wasn't going out and entertaining senior citizens or a needy organization. I can remember when I was smaller, in probably grade 3 or 4, and he was teaching in the evenings, and this was our class in the whole school. Lower school were gathered in the local church in the basement, and one of the teachers asked me to have my father come over and just do a couple of steps. Well, he came from his school, stopped the lesson, came over into the basement and danced around the whole church, and he did this train. He could imitate a train, and he danced around the whole hall, and he left. And everybody just sort of, what was that?
There's a train just went through here, and there's no tracks.
I don't know if you've ever seen him do the train, but he could imitate a steam locomotive with his feet.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Gina.
I think he loved step dancing so much because it was his heritage. It represented his heritage.
His family, did it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And Pontiac County. And it was a uniquely Canadian art form, and he was very proud of that.
On Don Messer's Jubilee in the past, we were very conscious, and Don brought us dancers from here. He suggested people that we contact, and of course your dad was among them. We always thought that there was a style. Could you define the style that we would call Ottawa Valley step dancing?
Well, perhaps those dancers shared something in common.
Yeah, that's what
Certainly,
yeah.
They had the same teacher. But I saw every one of those dancers as having their own distinct style. And today we still have phenomenal dancers in the Ottawa Valley. But every one of them has their own
way of going about it.
Yes, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. We have a wonderful collection of people. You'll remember Charlie Chamberlain would dance at the end of the show. That was his little trademark piece. And usually the guests danced with him or attempted to dance with him. And we have a collection that we'd like to show you right now of Charlie Chamberlain and his Ottawa Valley pals, and they're dancing the final fiddle tune.
Ah, lovely, lovely. How about that, Mr. Messer?
Real high class.
Something that always struck me about Donnie Gilchrist, and that was his energy and the fact that when you asked him to rehearse, he worked just as hard rehearsing on camera, during the day, as he did on the actual performance. And it was very difficult to convince him that he didn't have to. When he danced, he really danced, didn't he?
I remember one time being in a hotel, and I was never too far. I'd just sit at the side of the stage and I'd look. And when my father danced, you saw fireworks, Like as a young kid, I used to go, wow, that's my pop, Like give it to him, Because I knew what a challenge was, even if I was 6, 7, 8, or 9. I knew what it was. But I could say he was, the energy of that man was unreal. And as far as I'm concerned, it's untouchable.
I always had the feeling, and I'm getting the sense that Donnie, and after talking to Gilles Roy, who was one of his partners at one time, that it was almost an athletic competition. Part of the fun of doing it was to see if you could outdo the next man. Did he compete in a lot of competitions?
No, he wasn't a competition dancer.
No.
But I think he used to refer to it when he had more than one person on the floor, a challenge dance. He'd introduce the dance as that. I'm going to challenge the person on the floor, and we'd try to outdance each other. And that's the way he referred to it. But I've also heard him say that he danced better. If the music was better, he danced better. So if in that situation, if the music was faster and it was better, then he would try and keep up with it. So I think he almost forgot about breathing at to a certain point whenever he was up there. It was just like, I don't know how he could do that for so long.
He sure worked. Did he have a lot of partners? Did he like working with a partner? Would you say, Molly, that he liked working with a partner?
His first partner was Joanne Jameson, and then it was a while before he had a partner, which would have been Gilles Roy.
Yes.
And I think it was a way of relieving some of the stress and the amount of energy that it took to do everything on your own.
Yep.
So yes, he did have some partners.
We have to wrap up one of the niftiest bits of step dancing, and I'd like to show it now, and that is with that same partner, Joanne Jameson. Here's Donnie Gilchrist, just cuffing it.